There's a reason why most entrepreneurs fail within the first 5 years. They think success is about having the best product, the brightest ideas, or working the hardest. But Machiavelli would laugh at this naivety because he understood something that modern business schools refuse to teach. Wealth is not built by the most talented, it's seized by the most strategic. And in 2025, while everyone else plays checkers with outdated rules, the next billionaires are playing chess with principles that are 500 years old but more relevant than ever. The digital age has not changed human nature. It's only amplified it. The same psychological triggers that Machiavelli identified in Renaissance courts now operate at lightning speed across global markets. The same power dynamics that built empires now build unicorn companies. And the same strategic mindset that toppled kingdoms now disrupts entire industries overnight. Today's billionaires did not stumble into wealth. They weaponized psychology, manipulated perception, and understood that in the attention economy, influence equals income. Let's destroy the first illusion. You do not become a billionaire by solving problems. You become a billionaire by creating dependency. Think about every tech giant dominating today. Facebook did not just connect people, it made disconnection unbearable. Amazon did not just deliver products, it made waiting intolerable. Apple did not just make phones, it made status anxiety profitable. This is pure Machiavellian strategy. Do not just provide value, make your absence feel like a loss. The modern marketplace is psychological warfare disguised as commerce. And those who understand this do not compete, they dominate. Because while your competitors are focused on features and benefits, you're focused on addiction and attachment. You're not building a business, you're architecting dependency. And dependency, once established, becomes your moat that no competitor can cross. Here's the brutal truth about wealth creation in 2025. The money is not in the product, it's in the positioning. Machiavelli knew that perception shapes reality more than reality shapes perception. Today's billionaires do not just launch products, they launch movements. They do not sell items, they sell identity. They understand that people do not buy what you make, they buy who they become when they use it. Tesla did not just make electric cars, it made environmental superiority fashionable. Bitcoin did not just create currency, it created a revolution narrative that made early adopters feel like pioneers. The first strategic principle is this: never enter a market, always create one. When you compete in existing markets, you're playing by rules others established. Your margins are dictated by competitors. Your positioning is reactive. But when you create a market, you become the rule maker. You control pricing. You define quality standards. You establish the competitive framework. And most importantly, you capture the early adopter premium before competitors even understand what game is being played. Look at every billionaire creating company of the last decade. Uber did not compete with taxis, it redefined transportation. Airbnb did not compete with hotels, it created the sharing economy. Netflix did not compete with Blockbuster, it made physical media obsolete. Each created new categories where they could establish dominance before competitors knew the categories existed. That's not innovation, that's strategic market manipulation. But creating markets is not enough. You must control the narrative around those markets. And this is where most entrepreneurs fail catastrophically. They think if they build it, recognition will come. But Machiavelli understood that power without perception is powerless. The companies that achieve billionaire valuations do not just solve problems, they position themselves as the inevitable solution to problems people did not know they had. The second principle is psychological positioning. People do not buy products, they buy stories that make them feel powerful. Every billionaire-level company sells the same thing in different packages: transformation. Tesla buyers do not purchase cars, They purchase environmental superiority. iPhone buyers do not purchase phones, they purchase social status. Netflix subscribers do not purchase entertainment, they purchase cultural relevance. The product is just the vehicle for the psychological payoff. Understanding this changes everything about how you approach business. Instead of asking what features customers want, you ask what identity they're trying to project. Instead of improving functionality, you enhance the emotional reward. Instead of competing on price, you establish psychological value. Because when people feel transformed by your product, price becomes irrelevant. They're not buying a solution, they're buying a better version of themselves. Here's where it gets Machiavellian. The most successful companies do not just provide transformation, they create anxiety about not transforming. Apple's marketing does not just promote new features, it makes older models feel obsolete. Social media platforms do not just connect people, they create fear of missing out. Subscription services do not just provide convenience, they make manual alternatives feel primitive. You're not just selling benefits, you're manufacturing dissatisfaction with alternatives. The third principle is strategic timing. Machiavelli emphasized that fortune favors the bold, but only when boldness meets opportunity. In 2025, 3 massive shifts are creating billionaire-level opportunities for those positioned to exploit them. Artificial intelligence is reorganizing entire industries. Climate change is forcing infrastructure overhauls. Demographic shifts are redistributing global wealth. But here's the key. Most people see these as challenges. The Machiavellian sees them as leverage points. Every major disruption creates 2 groups, those who adapt their business models to survive the change, and those who position themselves to profit from others' need to adapt. The first group preserves existing wealth. The second group creates new wealth. Amazon did not just adapt to online shopping, it became the infrastructure that everyone else needed to adapt to. Zoom did not just adjust to remote work, it became essential for everyone else's adjustment. The pattern is clear. Position yourself not as someone navigating change, but as someone others depend on to navigate change. The fourth principle is network leverage. Machiavelli understood that your power is not in what you control directly, but in what you influence indirectly. Modern billionaires do not just build companies, they build ecosystems. They do not just serve customers, they create platforms where others serve customers. They do not just generate revenue, they take percentages of revenue others generate. This is how you scale beyond the limitations of your own execution. Look at the platform billionaires. Jeff Bezos does not sell most of what's on Amazon, he takes a cut of others' selling. Elon Musk does not build every Tesla component, he orchestrates suppliers who depend on Tesla contracts. Bill Gates did not write every Microsoft program, he created the operating system that everyone else had to build on. The strategy is identical. Become the foundation that others must build upon, then tax their success. But platforms are not just technological, they're psychological. The most valuable platforms create conditions where users feel they cannot succeed without participation. LinkedIn does not just connect professionals, it makes professional networking outside LinkedIn feel incomplete. Google does not just provide search results, it makes finding information elsewhere feel inefficient. Instagram does not just share photos, it makes social validation elsewhere feel insufficient. The platform becomes psychologically mandatory. The fifth principle is strategic patience combined with aggressive execution. Machiavelli warned against moving too slowly or too quickly. The billionaire mindset balances these perfectly. Patience in strategy, aggression in tactics. Most entrepreneurs rush their strategy and hesitate on execution. They pivot business models constantly but execute initiatives half-heartedly. The Machiavellian does the opposite. He commits deeply to strategic direction but moves with ruthless speed on tactical implementation. This means spending months or even years studying a market before entering, but then dominating rapidly once committed. Amazon spent years losing money to establish market position before prioritizing profitability. Facebook focused on user growth over revenue until reaching critical mass. Tesla invested in manufacturing capability before scaling production. The pattern is clear. Win the positioning war first, then win the execution war overwhelmingly. The sixth principle is controlled information asymmetry. In every transaction, someone knows something others do not. Machiavelli understood that information advantage translates directly to strategic advantage. Modern billionaires do not just access better information, they create exclusive information streams. They do not just react to market trends, they have advanced notice of market shifts. They do not just respond to consumer preferences, they influence consumer preferences. This requires building intelligence networks that extend beyond your industry. The next billionaires will see opportunities coming before competitors understand what's happening. They'll identify talent before it becomes expensive. They'll enter markets before they become competitive. They'll exit positions before decline becomes obvious. Information asymmetry is not just helpful, it's essential for billionaire-level success. But information alone is not enough. You need exclusive access to resources that matter. Capital, talent, technology, distribution channels, regulatory influence. The companies that achieve massive valuations do not just compete for resources, they secure privileged access to resources. This might be exclusive partnerships with key suppliers, preferential treatment from investors, first access to emerging technologies, or relationships with regulatory bodies. The competitive moat is not just what you do better, it's what only you can do. The seventh principle is strategic flexibility within firm principles. Machiavelli advocated being like both the fox and the lion. The lion for strength when strength is needed, the fox for cunning when cunning is required. Modern billionaire builders maintain core strategic commitments while remaining tactically adaptable. They do not change their fundamental business thesis based on short-term feedback, but they adjust execution methods constantly based on market response. This means having absolute clarity about your strategic objectives while remaining completely flexible about achieving them. Amazon's objective was always customer dominance, but their methods evolved from books to everything, to cloud services. Tesla's objective was always sustainable transportation, but their approach expanded from sports cars to mass-market vehicles to energy systems. The vision stays constant, the path adapts continuously. The eighth principle is manufacturing urgency without appearing desperate. Scarcity drives demand, but desperation destroys credibility. The most successful launches create time pressure that motivates action without suggesting the company needs immediate sales to survive. Limited availability, exclusive access, early bird pricing, these tactics create urgency while projecting confidence. You're not selling because you need money. You're offering limited opportunities because demand exceeds supply. This extends to hiring, partnerships, and investor relations. The companies that attract the best talent do not just offer good opportunities, they create conditions where great people feel they might miss out if they do not join. The partnerships that create competitive advantages do not just provide mutual benefit, they establish relationships others wish they could access. The investors who provide billionaire-level funding do not just see potential returns, they fear missing the next unicorn. The ninth principle is strategic controversy. Machiavelli understood that being universally liked meant being universally ignored. The brands that achieve massive valuations do not avoid controversy, they channel it strategically. They take positions that generate discussion, create movements that attract passionate followers, and establish viewpoints that differentiate them clearly from competitors. But this is not random contrarianism, it's calculated positioning. The key is creating controversy around your market position, not your personal character. Tesla generated controversy about electric vehicles being viable, not about Elon Musk being trustworthy. Netflix created controversy about streaming replacing physical media, not about Reed Hastings being ethical. The controversy attracts attention, generates media coverage, and forces market conversations to reference your company. You become unavoidable in industry discussions. The 10th and final principle is building systems that work without you. The ultimate Machiavellian achievement is creating power structures that perpetuate themselves. Companies that make founders billionaires do not just succeed while founders are involved, they continue succeeding after founders step back. This requires building organizational cultures, operational systems, and strategic frameworks that function independently of any individual's presence. This is how wealth becomes permanent, rather than dependent on your continued effort. You're not building a business that pays you. You're building an asset that generates value autonomously. The systems recruit better than you could personally. The culture motivates better than you could individually. The processes execute better than you could manually. Your wealth becomes structural, rather than dependent on your continued performance. The moment you realize you do not have to be personally involved for your company to thrive, you cross from entrepreneur to wealth architect. This is when multiple ventures become possible, when strategic investments replace operational involvement, when your network becomes your net worth multiplier. You shift from building one valuable company to building a portfolio of value-generating assets. Here's the synthesis. Becoming a billionaire in 2025 is not about having one brilliant idea or working harder than everyone else. It's about understanding psychological leverage, strategic positioning, market creation, platform thinking, information advantage, and systematic execution. It's about building systems that create dependency, generate exclusive value, and operate independently of your continued involvement. The opportunities are massive, but only for those who understand the game being played. While others compete on features, you compete on positioning. While others react to markets, you create markets. While others build products, you build ecosystems. While others seek customers, you create movements. While others optimize for short-term profits, you architect long-term influence. Machiavelli's principles have not become outdated, they have become digitized. The same psychological triggers that built Renaissance power structures now build billion-dollar companies. The same strategic thinking that toppled kingdoms now disrupts industries. The same understanding of human nature that created empires now creates unicorns. The tools have evolved, but the fundamental game remains identical. And those who master the game do not just participate in wealth creation, they control it.